Hi and Assalamualaikum. In this video, our group will be presenting on budget proposal by Ministry of Youth and Sports. Our group consists of ALYAA SYAZANA SUHAIBI, HANANI RAMLI, NURUL NAJIHAH Muhammad ABDUL SATAR, and NURUL AWATIF Muhammad ASPI.
The Ministry of Youth and Sport, also known as the Kementerian Belia dan Sukan KBS Malaysia in Malay terms, is the country's only government institution in charge of youth and sport development. Its principal goal is to help young people grow into responsible adults. One of the organization's unique occupational group is Youth and Sports Service. This is a closed service that is classed as social service employment in Malaysia Public Service Department 2002 and is affiliated with several ministries and state departments. Based on the first program, which is the Welfare Management Program, the outcome of the program is effective organizational management. It is important for any organization to have a good quality of management. Therefore, by conducting activities to manage the welfare of every athlete, such as social welfare program or helping in the form of finance or medical for athletes in need, will help to boost the management quality of the organization. For example, the National Athlete Welfare Foundation, YAKIP, can do several initiatives in helping athletes that are affected in the form of the financial by collaborating with other parties to join the program. The development of the youth in sport are very important as youth are considered as an important asset for the country. Therefore, the outcome of the Youth and Sport Development Program is creating a sustainable sport ecosystem in the country. It is undeniable the most people involved in sports today are from the youth generation. They play a major role in developing sport for the country. However, youth generation today are more into esports, where they use online platform to play sport. Youth participation in esport is more than simply a game. It is the first step toward the Industrial Revolution 4.0. The revelation of the potential in digital games will pave the way for a bright future in conjunction with the current rapid expansion of the digital economy. Conducting a program such as opening more esports hubs, introducing esports as a co-curriculum, and holding national esports tournaments will create a sustainable sports ecosystem where not only physical athletes can show their skill, but also give opportunities for esports players to show their skill too. Safety is an important aspect in every sector, especially in sports. Emphasizing safety in sport will help to avoid any address, abuse, and harassment, including the athletes and officers also. With a program such as the Sport Safety Program, the Board of Managers of the National Sports Council, MSN, chaired by the Minister of Youth and Sports, KBS, can set up a committee on misconduct and protection in sport, where they will supervise and watch for any misconduct or harassment occur between the parties involved in sport. In sport, it is important to avoid addressing abuse and harassment, as it will affect the performance of the sport. Hence, the outcome of the Safety Sport Program is to achieve a prosperous sport culture. By conducting a safety sport program to improve the safety in sport, it will reduce the number of the victims toward harassment for any sport played by athletes. This will help the Ministry of Youth and Sports to educate people on the importance of respecting each other even in sport.
The first issue is the welfare of the former athletes of Paralympics that not taken care of. The Paralympics are Special Olympic sports for people with disabilities. Like other normal athletes, our national Paralympic athletes also participate in sports tournaments held domestically as well as internationally. Our country, through the Malaysian Paralympic Council, will send Paralympic athletes to compete in sports tournaments such as the Asian Para Games, and the Paralympic Games, which are held every 4 years. In this few years, several athletes have been voiced out about the neglecting from the country after their retirement. There's a foundation called Yayasan Kebajikan Atlet Kebangsaan YAKIP, was established to help ease the burden of the former athletes. However, the effectiveness of this foundation seems to be ineffective, as there are still athletes who claim they are not helped and neglected. For example, the former athlete Syukur Farhan Suliman and Mariapan Perumal. In terms of humanity, Paralympic athletes should be treated equally. The second issue is the bad impact on sports from this COVID-19 pandemic. The coronavirus pandemic has caused a global economic shock by sending shockwaves around the world. The COVID-19 virus has also affected the world of sports, with professional leagues and events being suspended to prevent the spread of the disease. For example, the SEA Games were announced to be postponed to next year due to the severe COVID-19 situation in Vietnam. The match date had to be reset and rescheduled, as well as the process of qualifying for the finals had to be taken into account. The uncertainty of when the pandemic will end has put worries on the stakeholders that have been put an investment in few world's major tournaments. The process took a long time, and the delay of several months was a difficult and burdensome situation for each team. We all knew that sports bring a lot of benefits. Therefore, since sport is really crucial, Ministry of Youth and Sports should find a solution to this issue. The third issue is sexual harassment in sports. Sexual harassment in sports is not a new phenomenon. Sexual harassment is sexual behavior that is unethical and has a negative impact on the athletes. The reality is the problem of sexual harassment in sports is common, but it is rarely reported and no action is taken. Based on research conducted by Mara Polytech College on 422 athletes in 2017, found that 15.9% of respondents had experienced sexual harassment in sports. Half of the athletes involved had represented the country in international competitions. More shockingly, male athletes were more vulnerable because studies showed that 19% of male athletes had experienced sexual harassment, compared to 11% of female athletes. This shows that athletes in Malaysia are not exempt from facing the problem of sexual harassment, and even more worrying when almost half of the victims are elite athletes. Cindy Ong is one of the Malaysian athletes that experienced sexual harassment. Ministry of Youth and Sports should take serious and find a solid solution. I will pass the next part to the next presenter.
The first program is intended as a solution to the issue of the welfare of Paralympic athletes is not taken care after retirement. This program is called welfare management. Further, the objective of this welfare management program is to look after and manage the welfare of national Paralympic athletes after retirement. There are two activities that can be done in ensuring that the welfare management program can achieve its goals. The first activity is encourage and organize social and welfare activities involving national athletes. As we know, there are many former national Paralympic athletes who have changed fortunes. So the purpose of this activity is to help them to be more productive, to improve the economic standard of living while improving the effectiveness of social and welfare. So the first initiative is by Hold the Visit and Donate program. The objective of this activity is to ensure that the former athletes are always appreciated after succeeding in becoming the people who have made the country famous in the past. To achieve the objective of this activity, YAKIP can work together with the state government to make plans to gather former national athletes in one program. And then it can make it easier for YAKIP to monitor and know the current situation of former athletes, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. And then, the National Sport Council, in collaboration with City Council members, can donate cash and food supplies to ease the burden of former national athletes. They can also plan to provide a permanent guaranteed scheme to retirees by allocating a certain amount of financial assistance that will be given to them every month. Activity 2. Provide financial assistance and contributions to former national Paralympics athletes and their families. The purpose of this activity is to ease their burden by providing financial contributions to former national Paralympic athletes as well as help the survival of their families. So the first initiative is by providing the zakat contributions to retirement para-athletes. In this regard, YAKIP can collaboration with the Zakat Collection Center of the Federal Charity Islamic Religious Council in requesting the Zakat Center at the state level to come together to help the affected former athletes. Therefore, as one of the charitable bodies, YAKIP can plan to donate needs to them. It can be in terms of money, necessities, and many more. Last initiative is by provide the assistance of medical support equipment. YAKIP, in collaboration with the Sport and Welfare Club, can provide medical support equipment. For example, donations of wheelchairs and crutches to retired Paralympic athletes. This initiative is to ease their burden when they need the treatment. In addition, the contribution of special motorcycles for people with disabilities should also be listed as their needs to facilitate their movement. Lastly, MSN, in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, can also make the implementation of this benefits contribution. In this case, if the husband of or wife of the former national Paralympic athletes dies, they will receive a contribution from this initiative. This is because this initiative is under the category of financial assistance and activities to national athletes and their families.
I will continue to present the next program, which is Youth and Sport Development Program. The main focus is to involve more youths in national sport activities around this country. Through this involvement, Malaysia can produce more athletes who will be the backbone of national sports. Under this program, there are two activities. The first activity is e-sport for youth. The purpose of this activity is to elevate the progressions of sport in this country by implementing the development of national e-sports. Under this activity, there are a lot of initiatives that have been made. Firstly, e-sport integrated ESI under the Ministry of Youth and Sport will be implement more constructions of e-sport hub across the country. The main focus is that the hub will be used to help the growth of e-sport in Malaysia by providing space for tournament and event training center for both professionals and also the amateur players. It will be a network for industry stakeholders and a key hub for professional and capacity building programs. The next initiative is the Ministry of Youth and Sport (KBS) in collaboration with the Ministry of Education will introduce e-sport as part of the syllabus or core curriculum of local school and universities. The model and brochures will be distributed in schools and universities to provide exposure to students and also the parents on the benefit of e-sport for youth. Through this initiative, it will open more career opportunity for youth to generate the economy and build their creativity. The next initiative is the eSport Integrated ESI, also will hold the National eSport Tournament. This tournament will feature 4 popular games including PUBG, Mobile Legends, FIFA 21 and also Dota 2. There are eSport players from all over Malaysia can register and participate in this tournament. It will have 2 rounds, which is the first round is the state level, that each team from every state will compete in qualifying round with a knockout format. The next round is the second stage, which is the national level, where the finalists from the state level will compete in round robin format to determine the winner. The second activity under Youth and Sport Development Program is the New Norm Sport. In the spirit of the COVID-19 pandemic, had a major impact on survival, safety and also health in the community. Given that there is no other options, the practice of new norm of life in the context of the still contagious COVID-19 pandemic needs to be strengthened among the local community. The initiative under this activity is the Ministry of Youth and Sport, collaborations with the National Security Council, will hold various sport competitions throughout the country using the camp-based training method. In this competition, all players involved will be isolated from the external environment for the durations of the game. Various competitions such as badminton, football, futsal, and more will be held according to the designated place. All citizens can get involved and participate in every competition that is implemented by complying with all standard operations procedures (SOP) that have been set. The next program that will be implemented under the Ministry of Youth and Sport is the Safe Sport Program. The purpose of this program is to implement the Safe Sport Program to address abuse and harassment that happen in national sport. The main focus is to provide maximum comfort to national athletes so that they feel safe, comfortable and focused in training. The activity under this program is 3 ways of safe sport. This activity is implemented comprehensively to identify and address the problem of sexual harassment effectively. In this activity, 3 initiatives have been introduced for the athlete and also the staff. Firstly, the board manager of the National Sport Council (MSN) has set a committee on misconduct and protection in sport to prevent inappropriate behaviors. The committee will launch the Safe Sport Unified Code to provide the sporting community with clear guidelines on what constitutes inappropriate behavior in sports. The code includes standards of psychological, physical, and sexual misconduct, as well as other inappropriate acts such as grooming. Through this guideline, all parties involved in the sport movement in Malaysia can find out more about the inappropriate behavior that occur around them. The next initiative is the Ministry of Youth and Sport (KBS) in collaboration with the Malaysian Olympic Council (MOC) make an alternative platform to address incident. It is by including the guideline and create a complaint form on the website for athletes, coaches, and sport officials to voice any problem or complaint to be highlighted to the authorities. From the complaint that have been received, the Ministry of Youth and Sport will enhance the case management that including issuing a warning letter and performing the disciplinary actions against the offenders. For excessive cases that involve rape, it will be issued to the Malaysian judiciary to provide justice to the victims. Through this initiative, incidents of sexual harassment that have been occurred can be identified and tracked so that the appropriate actions can be taken. The last initiative under this activity is the Ministry of Youth and Sport (KBS) will appoint a special committee to guarantee and accreditations all athletes and staff participate in the implementations of safe sport program. Continuous observations will be done to ensure that everything implemented will run smoothly and can be improved. The various advertisements and information will be announced under the Ministry of Youth and Sport on all platforms including on social media, televisions and radio to inform all parties involved about the Safe Sport program. This is to make sure the participations from the athlete and staff can be achieved at the maximum level and will help the management to provide the best solutions.
The total 2021 budget as presented by the Malaysian Minister of Finance, Tengku Zafrul Aziz, is worth 322.5 billion. The largest total budget covers 236.5 billion, which will be channeled to operating expenditure. Another 69 billion for development expenditure, while the remaining 70 billion is for the COVID-19 fund. The total 2021 budget allocation for the Ministry of Youth and Sports is 945,580,900 ringgit, which is divided into two parts, namely the management budget of 614,136,800 ringgit and the development budget of 326,444,100 ringgit. Thus, the budget allocation will be allocated based on three focus areas that will be implemented by the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So, the total allocation of management budget is 614,136,800 ringgit. As for the first focus, which is to ensure the effectiveness of the organizational management, the budget was allocated neatly for the welfare management program of retirement Paralympic athletes. It is allocated based on the activities that have been made. For the first activity, which is encourage and organize social and welfare activities involving national athletes, as much as 211,884,899 ringgit. And then, the second activity that divided into two initiatives as much as 402,251,901 ringgit.
As mentioned earlier, the total allocations of development budget is 326,444,100 ringgit. It was divided into two focus areas. Firstly, the focus area is to achieve a sustainable sport ecosystem in Malaysia. The budget was allocated sufficiently for two programs. For the Youth and Sport Development Program, it was allocated based on activities that have been made. For the first activity, which is eSport for Youth, as much as 217,629,400 ringgit have been divided according to each initiative that will be implemented. Meanwhile, the value of 27,203,675 ringgit have been allocated for the second activity, which is the new norm sports. It makes the total for the whole program is 270,629,400 ringgit. The next focus is to achieve a prosperous sports culture in Malaysia. The budget was allocated for the Safe Sport program according to the initiative of three ways of safe sport activity, which make the total of 108,814,700 ringgit have been allocated for the whole program.
In conclusion, based on the budgets that have been allocated, the Ministry of Youth and Sports can do a lot of activities that will provide benefits not only to youth and the athlete but also to the country. The sports and youth industry should be improved from time to time to gain the best result from all the programs implemented. the budget should be divided wisely without any budgetary abuses. The government should provide various privileges to the youth and athletes that have a big role in developing the nation.